On the morning of June the 24th, 2025, I awoke with bloodshot eyes and an overbearing feeling of unease. I'd slept perfectly fine during the night and had gone to bed at a reasonable time, so I wasn't quite sure what to make of this feeling. I'm laying in my bed, just waiting to see if anything comes to mind when I get the sudden urge to check the news tab on Google Chrome. Now, this is a rather unusual occurrence since I don't really make a habit of checking my phone in the morning, let alone Google Chrome's news tab. I can't even remember the last time I checked that. Anyways, I decided to check it, and as I'm scrolling through the various articles, eventually one catches my attention, and its title reads something to the effect of Hytale has been cancelled. Hytale has been cancelled. I must have been staring at that title for a solid 10 seconds before the words I was reading registered in my brain, and when it finally did, I just assumed that the article was simply exaggerating the situation it was covering for the sake of clicks and assumed that Hytale wasn't really cancelled. That is, of course, until I read the article, which went in depth about the closing of the development studio making the game and how Riot Games, the publisher, had no plans to invest further in the project that to this point had been in the works for about 10 years. A dull sort of pain or feeling washed over me, but I had to get ready for work, so I didn't really decide to reflect on it or look deeper into the situation. Right at that moment, I just sort of skipped over it and left it to the wayside. But truth be told, a part of me died that day. A small but important part of me. I had been waiting for the release of the Hytale beta for nearly 7 years, since I signed up back in high school. And, while I hadn't been keeping up with all of the updates from the game's development since that time, in the back of my mind, Hytale was a game that I just knew was going to be something special. To give just a bit more context to what was going on with the game and what it means to me, but not just me, also the gaming community as a whole, I'm going to take you back to December of 2018. Honestly, it was so long ago that I'm having trouble recounting exactly what went down, so I'm just going to give you the real gist of it, and then we'll go from there. So December of 2018 was when the announcement trailer for Hytale had dropped, and at that point I had been following the development of the game well before the trailer dropped, but this to me was a key milestone for Hytale. The developers of Hytale were also the operators of Hypixel, which was one of, if not the most popular Minecraft multiplayer server at the time. It's still running strong to this day, but the team wanted to expand into a game of their own after having massive success with the Hypixel Minecraft server. Also, they were kind of getting screwed with revenue share from their own server because Microsoft were being a bit greedy, a bit of a greedy Gus at the time, which is why recent events that have transpired with Microsoft haven't really surprised me in the slightest, but heck, that's another video for another time. Minecraft itself around 2018, from what I can recall, was starting to have a bit of a dip in popularity as it was, beginning to get up there in age. Updates, were becoming not necessarily less frequent, just less impactful. And Hytale, here comes Hytale, just this new kid on the block, touted as the Minecraft killer, that would essentially look to claim the throne as the top dog in the survival crafting genre. And the trailer that they released painted a truly promising picture of what was to come. High fantasy elements, extensive community modding support, dungeon raids, and boss fights. It was positioning itself as everything people loved about Minecraft with objectively better additions. It was truly looking like a situation of Minecraft walked so Hytale could run. But at the end of the trailer, as the cherry on top, they opened up the signups for the beta, and you best believe I immediately registered for that. Hell, I'm pretty sure I registered, 3 times just to ensure my position was secured. Because no chance I was missing the beta. That would be one for the ages, and I was hype, and I waited eagerly for them to drop a beta release date. It was looking really, really promising. So after 2018, 2019 comes around. There's no beta announcement. We're still waiting. And then 2020, some funny business happened. A silly little event occurred that kind of shut down the world for a decent bit of time, but at that point, 2020 was when Hytale actually got acquired by Riot Games, and now has a shit ton of funding from a massive publisher, and at that point I'm thinking, holy moly, this is great news. This is amazing news. They got, I think it was $50 million in funding, something crazy like that. Now, there's still no info on a beta release, but surely this turn of events is a definite step in the right direction, I thought to myself. Then we progressed to 2021, still no beta, and development updates had started slowing down a bit, but, you know, in my head I'm thinking at that time, I'm sure they're just working hard on getting the game ready, and this stage they likely don't have anything interesting to make updates on, as now they'd just be polishing the code, working out bug fixes. At least that's what I thought until 2022. They announced, yes, indeed, they had been working hard to actually port the game from C# and Java to C++, a different coding base, because the mobile and console gamers would be left out, which is, you know, that's sweet, that's pretty nice. Again, still no info on a beta release, but surely this turn of events is also a definite step in the right direction, right? 23 comes around. There's still no beta. 24. Take a wild guess. And now at this point, I've graduated university, which is awesome, but there's still no Hytale beta. June 23rd. Riot Games announced that they had pulled the plug on Hytale as costs were mounting with no release window in sight. Honestly, in my head I was thinking, I don't think this is a definite step in the right direction for the game. I think this is a bit of a problem. This is a little worrying. But yeah, after that morning, after that I saw that announcement, the day after, I was a bit bummed out, not gonna lie. You know, having more than 7 years of hype and anticipation being flushed down the toilet was, to put it simply, slightly suboptimal. And also a bit of an embarrassment on my part, because me mistaking Hytale's development hell for steps in the right direction was, you know, as a certified gamer, such as myself, like, that's a little bit, a little embarrassing, but I honestly, like, I was just coping. That's really what I was doing. You gotta think, like, from my perspective, I had signed up for the beta in grade 11 of high school, and now I was finished with post-secondary school, and having to deal with the trials and tribulations of real life. So now I just didn't really have as much time to play Hytale once it didn't get released. And now this happens. It's like, well, shit. Now with Hytale seemingly dead in the water, the question now is, where do we go from here, if anywhere at all? It's not all doom and gloom, as Simon, the co-founder of Hytale, has been working behind the scenes to buy out Hytale from Riot Games and release the game in a sort of early access stage to the public. Now Riot, I mean, they've lost quite a bit of money on the Hytale project. I mean, that $50 million initial investment, they're gonna want to sell the IP ideally if they're not gonna do anything with it, because if I get an offer for $25 million on a game I dropped $50 million on, I'd probably just, if that's the best offer, I'm gonna take that offer, because I'd rather lose $25 million than $50 million, if that makes sense. But that just tells me that Simon likely won't be the only one bidding to gain the rights of the IP. But aside from that, I mean, the man seems quite committed and has mentioned that he made a substantial offer to Riot, which he says is 10 times the IP's market value, which may or may not be true. But the point being is he is serious about gaining the rights back. And again, if I'm Riot Games, you know, honestly, selling the IP at this point to curb the losses is the more conservative path forward, rather than trying to push the game out, which may or may not make back the losses. And I'd rather not see our poor little indie game get pushed out in a rush to gain back losses on what was invested into the game, and be worked on slowly but surely throughout the years to get into a finished state, which seems to be what Simon's plan is, releasing the game into early access and then slowly building it up. And speaking of early access, honestly, in hindsight, this should have been the obvious first step. I mean, why they decided to rework the entire code for mobile and console ports of a game that hadn't even been battle tested on PC is beyond me. Anywho, this will more than likely be an ongoing topic of discussion, and I will likely make another video once we get more news. Hopefully it's good news, and that we will be getting a Hytale early access release. And I mean, I do hope that Hytale hasn't breathed its last yet, but only time will tell. Now, before I wrap it up here, I have been thinking about an outcome that is a bit contrary to the main narrative, which is a Hytale comeback. And after all I've said in this video, my next point most likely will sound quite bizarre, but just hear me out on this. In the event we don't get any closure and we never hear anything from Hytale ever again, I mean, do you think that maybe it might be best if Hytale just never releases and simply fades from the public's consciousness? Hytale was going to be a rival to Minecraft, and in the years of Hytale's development, Minecraft went through a downturn at the end of the 2010s to a sudden and insane rise in popularity in the early 2020s, to now, while still being popular, not really at the top of mind for most gamers. The survival crafting genre as a whole just doesn't have the same clout as it did back in the mid-2010s and early 2020s, So this whole rivalry may very well just go unnoticed by the large majority of gamers. And now that in of itself isn't an issue. I mean, it's totally fine for Hytale to target a niche audience of dedicated fans rather than the average gamer. I mean, look at what's going on with Call of Duty. They tried to essentially pull a Fortnite and appeal to as many gamers as possible, and now it's like the original fan base doesn't like them. The fan base that they tried to cultivate through this change doesn't really like them, so I mean, I'm not gonna put a strike against Hytale for that. But the game has been in a development hell for years, and Simon is going to release the original C# and Java version, which hasn't been worked on consistently in 3 years. Now, he said it was pretty close to being complete before they switched engines, but I'm just not sure if that's truly the case or not. I mean, again, if the game starts off in early access, how long until it reaches a finished state, and will the fan base be patient enough to see the game reach its full potential even if it takes years? I've seen both sides where games execute their early access stage perfectly and transition into a full release in a reasonable amount of time, and then I've seen games which never see the light at the end of the early access tunnel and are in early access in an unfinished state for the better part, or even just a whole decade plus. With Hytale, it's still very much up in the air, and who even knows if Simon will get IP rights. I mean, Hytale might just go to some other mega publisher. If that happens, our poor little indie game, as if it hasn't already been through an ordeal, is going to go through another ordeal. Point is, maybe just let Hytale be the legend that never came to be, since current industry trends and the state of the game might just result in it being a flop, as much as I hate to say it. Now again, I must reiterate that if Simon hits us with a "ladies and gentlemen, we got him," and drops the game in early access, heck, even maybe just before Christmas, you know, you best believe I'm dropping everything to play the game I've been waiting 7 years to play. That goes without saying. And recent developments suggest that actually he might have gotten the IP rights, now just working out a few more finer details, legal stuff, and we may actually be getting Hytale in early access fairly soon. But we'll have to just wait and see until we get 100% confirmation. But you best believe, like, since I have a personal stake and interest in this game, if any news does come out, I'm gonna be covering it. And hopefully it's Hytale getting an early access release. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I mean, what do you think's gonna happen with Hytale? Are we gonna be in store for a generational comeback, or will we hear absolutely nothing from this game and never get any disclosure? Boo womp. Well, let me know in the comments. Look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about that. I mean, this game, again, has been one of the most hyped games that has gotten very little publicity aside from that first release, that first trailer they dropped 7 years back. But yeah, and it's really strange because it's sort of, the gaming industry has shifted so much in that time since Hytale was first announced, that I do genuinely question if it'll still have the same popularity, the same hype if it does eventually release. Honestly, I don't really care. I want to play the game. Like, I just want to play the game. Hopefully we get to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. All the best. Bye.